Hello, this is Bianca McFarland. I am a master's student in the reading education program at Vanderbilt, and I am currently enrolled in literacy development course that explores theoretical and research perspectives on literacy processes used by students to read print, multimodal, and digital text. For week 9, we discussed emergent reading, and one of the articles that we read was by Connie Bridge, Predictable Materials for Beginning Readers. The quote says, "The major value of the patterned language materials during initial reading instruction is that they enable the beginning reader to process the printed page in the same way as the mature reader, employing predicting, sampling, confirming, and disconfirming strategies from the first," on page 507. In her article, Bridge discusses 3 cueing systems that students use while processing print. They are graphophonic, syntactic, and semantic associational. And she advocates for practice of reading specifically with predictable text. So with me, I have formerly Dr. Paget, now Dr. Bowen. Can you please describe your education experience and your role?
Sure. I am currently called an LTDS, which is Literacy Teacher Development Specialist at Ruby Major Elementary. We have had lots of titles in the past: reading specialist and literacy coach, consulting teachers, but pretty much instructional coach for literacy is what I'm currently doing. I got my undergrad in Murray, Kentucky. Go Racers. Love Murray. In elementary education, early childhood. And then I got a master's at Cumberland University, and I finished my doctorate in 2010 through Trevecca Nazarene University. And I did my research around summer learning loss and developed a summer literacy camp to see if we could curb that summer learning loss for the students at the school where I was teaching. I have also taught literacy courses at Trevecca Nazarene University and worked with doctoral students there as well. What else do you want to know?
What grades did you teach before becoming an LTDS?
I taught 3rd grade and kindergarten. I taught kindergarten the longest. I have worked with students from pre-K through 8th grade primarily. I did 3 years of coaching at the middle school level and learned a lot. It was interesting because middle school kids can articulate better what their needs are with literacy. So it was kind of neat to be able to do that with struggling readers.
So as a former kindergarten teacher, how do you feel about the use of predictable text for emergent reading and teaching that?
I think it's a must. I think not only is it motivating for students, because when you see a kindergartner pick up a book that has not been read to them yet, and they read their first book because it is predictable, they know that it's going to have a pattern to it. They know that primarily it's going to be the same pattern on each page until maybe that last page. But when you see them read that for the very first time, you know that it has dawned on them that they're actually reading. Are they able to decode every word on every page of every book? Absolutely not. But they are able to understand the meaning from the text and get the words that are in the text and make sense of it. So I think it's important to build their confidence with that, but it's also important to help them with building their decoding skills on a increasing kind of in an increasing manner. So I don't have to worry about decoding every single word on the page because it's got that pattern. Usually there's just one word that I'm having to figure out, and sometimes I can figure it out from the picture, but sometimes there might be multiple words that it could be, and so I have to look more at the phonics level to get that information.
So you're saying that it's definitely a must, it's important, and that it allows them to see themselves as readers. So are there any cautions that you would tell to teachers when they are using predictable text, in that they may just only use predictable text and the students are now memorizing and they think that that is reading? Their students are now reading. Do you have any cautions for teachers that what the next steps will be, that's not enough, that there needs to be more?
Well, I do think that realizing that memorizing a book is a step of the reading process. I do think that that's an important step to the reading process. I do think that teachers need to mix in other types of text, maybe decodable poetry or decodable texts. Some of the decodable texts aren't very good for comprehension measures, and I always think that we need to go back to comprehension, because if I'm not actually comprehending, I'm not truly reading. But there are lots of really good decodable poetry that make a little bit more sense, but they need a good balance of those, where they are able to practice their decoding strategies as well as their comprehension strategies.
Do you see the use of pattern text here at Ruby Major?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we lean more toward predictable text rather than a decodable type text. Again, it helps build that confidence and lets them work on their reading strategies in a truer form, where semantically it's an easier flow than in a decodable, Matt sat on rat.
Mm-hmm.
What does that even mean? Why is he sitting on a rat?
Yeah.
So it helps the students, again, focus more on meaning, which is the biggest part of reading.
Can you think of a book on the top of your head that you like to use?
For predictable?
Yes.
Yeah, there's lots. All of the Joy Calley books are great predictable texts. She's a master of making books fun for kids, but very interesting, but also a good progression of literacy skills. So most of hers are very predictable.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. Yeah, so that's all I have for you today. In summary, students need exposure and opportunities to be successful, and that I'm glad you actually answered one of my questions that I had after about students memorizing the pattern text and what the next steps are. So thank you for that.
Yay.